What's up everyone, 94K here. A little bit of a name change. Main reason I thought of it was because I shoot in 4K and post in 4K, and then my girlfriend pointed out that my name starts with a K. I don't know why I didn't process that before, but it works perfectly. Anyways, now to the past 4 months with my S20 Plus. As you know, I've used the S20 Plus now for like 4 months, since it came out back in late March is when I got it, a week after it came out I should say. And I've liked the phone so far. There's a lot of things I like and there's some things I don't. Starting with the screen, this is 1440p, 120 Hertz. It's a gorgeous screen as Samsung typically has fantastic screens. It's buttery smooth with that 120 Hertz. The downside is that you can't do the 1440p, 120 Hertz. They do this for battery life reasons is my guess, because having those two together turned on would take up quite a bit of battery. Although I would gladly give up that after seeing the OnePlus 8 Pro at that 1440p, 120 Hertz, it is beautiful. The colors on the display are amazing. Everything looks just beautiful. Watching videos on it is super nice. Typically when I'm watching videos, I'll actually change the refresh rate, sadly, to 60 so I can get to 1440p if I know I'm going to be watching a lot of video or watching a movie or whatever it may be. I'll switch that down and then immediately after I'll switch it back to the 120 Hertz because that is something that you really feel when you're using the phone. My friend Weeby, who got the OnePlus 8 Pro, which we'll allude to a little bit later in the video, he is not a phone person per se. He keeps his phone for roughly 2 to 3 years, kind of pretty standard with it, does daily stuff. So he's never had a 2020 Hertz display before, and it's changed his life. He's changed the way he uses the phone. It changed really everything phone perspective wise and daily use for him. He goes back to the 60 Hertz and he says he can't stand it anymore because it just feels jittery compared to that 120 Hertz. And that's someone who's not really a tech person and it's affecting their phone use that much. So it really shows how the 120 Hertz can affect the daily use of someone using their phone. I tried to see if Samsung had any statistics on how many people have turned on the 120 Hertz or anything like that, and I couldn't really find anything. I wasn't too surprised about that because there may be some privacy stuff with that, but I figured it was worth a shot to see if there was anything out there showing how many people actually turned on that 120 Hertz display. Battery life for me has been amazing. I use it roughly 3 to 4 hours a day, I'd say. Full brightness because I like to, just gouge my eyes out for whatever reason, make my eyes even worse, make it so I need more glasses. And I get roughly about 2 days on it, using it 3 to 4 hours a day, which is fantastic. Charging with this phone is really nice. It's 25 watt charging. I love it so much. It charges so quick, and I can't wait to experience something that has like 30 watt or 45 watt, anything like that. The Ultra has 45 watt. You can go from 0 to 100% on the S20 Plus with that 25 watt in roughly about 2 hours, which is a good time span. If you just need a quick plug-in, it will definitely do the job. Leave it in for 20 minutes, it's like 20% more. It's beautiful. The software experience I've had with this phone has been good. I've really liked what Samsung's been doing with One UI. I think it's really given Samsung a refresh from what it used to be. Update-wise, I think I've had like 4 updates, so averaging like 1 a month, which is amazing with Samsung. I didn't think I would ever get this many updates, especially Samsung typically not updating their phones too often. They were late with Android 10. I'm hoping that's not the case with Android 11, but time will tell. I think they probably will be, as Samsung is typically late to those big updates. The one thing I did have to tweak with the software to really make it a little bit better is the vibration with key touches. So essentially with gestures, which is what I use since they're the same on both of my phones, it just makes life easy, convenient, and the gestures do feel really nice throughout both. So with that though, if you have it turned on, as you swipe up to go to open up all the apps that are open, you feel that vibrate, so then it's that indication of it's ready, you can let go, and it shows you that. So when you fully swipe through to go back to the home page, you feel that vibration, and it makes the entire process feel a little bit laggy, which isn't the greatest. So if you turn that off though, it's then a smooth interaction, there's no vibration or anything. So that's just one thing to look out for, and I think would really improve the feeling of the phone in general. So This portion of the video was probably going to be, I would say, the most controversial, if there's going to be any controversy over it, the camera. So to start out with, the S20 Plus. The S20s in general, they have good cameras. When you're comparing them to a majority of the phones out there, they are good, solid cameras. They take good photos, they take good video. Whether you want to dispute the 8K is necessary or not, go ahead. But either way, it does a good job taking pictures and videos, and I think almost 90% of people would be really happy with this camera and probably wouldn't have too many complaints at all. With that being said though, there are some things that, comparing it to the iPhone, because that's the best comparison I have. I don't have a Pixel, so I can't compare it to that. Those are kind of viewed as like the 3 top smartphones when it comes to cameras, right now at least, is the Pixel 4, the iPhone Pro Max, or Pros I should say in general, and the Samsung lineup. Starting off with the wide angle cameras between the two. Right off the bat, and this is going to be something you'll see pretty consistently throughout most of these pictures, is the Samsung one is just a little bit warmer, it's more saturated. That's pretty typical in what you see. So the biggest thing that you're going to see again throughout these cameras is going to be, if you pay attention to the yellow flowers on the right and the bottom red one that's kind of hanging off here. I picked this picture because I thought this gave the best sort of kind of depth, and it really picked out kind of the ability of these cameras. As you can see in the photos, if you look closely enough, petals at the very bottom and somewhat in the yellow, not as much in the yellow in this picture, the definition between the petals themselves. The Samsung just looks like one giant red blob for the most part. That's about it. My iPhone, you actually have separation of those petals, and the flowers themselves, you can see the depth. You can even see kind of the shadows into that one petal there on a little bit of the right side of that very bottom one. Now to the standard photo. Again, staying with that more saturatedness, that warmer tone, and I'll point out again, and this is even more so now in the yellow ones, it's just blob where it's just a bunch of condensed stuff. You can't see the individual petals. It kind of looks like that's all just one flower. And in the iPhone, you can see the individual petals themselves. You can see the individual flowers, kind of where it breaks off. You can see the shadows with inside of those petals. So it really gives you just better depth within that, and it's just overall a better photo. Now to the telephoto, so on the Samsung it's a 3 times, and on the iPhone it is a 2 times. Typically the 3 times is going to be just you get a closer shot, and an example later I'll show you. There's times when this definitely is going to take a better photo than what the iPhones does. But again, it's the definition in those petals, the shadows that you can see with them. It does a really good job. And on this one thing that you'll note is that the picture is entirely like different. It's not as warm, it's not as saturated, which is just really strange that just changing to that telephoto lens between the standard and the ultra wide changes that much. So it's just kind of something where it's like, why is it so inconsistent? And just losing that color profile that the other two had. For the portrait mode, the biggest thing to note here is kind of just where they chop off basically those leaves. On the S20 Plus, it's like a hard cut on that one straight in the middle, whereas on the iPhone it kind of slowly blurs that out. And then definition again on the petals, I can't stress that enough. In every single one of these, so relevant. This just shot at a little bit of a different angle. I didn't do the greatest job getting the exact same shot on these, but still, it's just those bottom petals and those yellow ones, it gives such more definition on the iPhone than it does with the Samsung. Again, it's still a very gorgeous photo on the S20 Plus. It's just when you're looking at those individual details, you can't see them as well. Also on the S20 Plus, you kind of have this weird thing off to the top right there where you can just kind of see it's like just randomly in focus. It cut out the part before it, and then it cuts out the part after it. It's kind of strange. So now going to the telephoto, again, same thing. It's really the definition. I can't every picture, you've heard it now. It's the definition of those petals and where it's giving you the depth, so you can tell that it's a separate petal from the other, or even the shadows with inside of those petals. The iPhone is just handling those better. You can also see that in this kind of focuses more on that petal with this portrait, whereas the S20 Plus, it's not blurring much. A lot of it's still in focus, and the pot's more in focus. On the iPhone, the pot is entirely blurred for the most part, whereas on the S20 Plus, it's still within that, so you don't see as much depth. So on the iPhone, you're perceiving more depth because of that. So it's kind of interesting how that's layered. Again, it's not the most perfect picture in the world with the two of these. They're a little bit different angles, so attribute that, kind of some error there, but again, not much changes in those depth and how clear you can see those details. So this is the picture I'm talking about, where that 3x telephoto on the S20 Plus just does a fantastic job and just nails this picture to a T. The iPhone's honestly looks terrible. I don't know what happened, or whether it's the lighting, the situation, I don't know. It's just a terrible photo. I really don't know. Typically it doesn't turn out like this, but it's how it is, and you know, there's flaws in each of them. Nothing's perfect. But this picture, the Samsung just nails it. The detail you get, like, these are fake this is a fake flower, by the way. You can literally see like the individual like threading of the flower itself on all of it, and it does look really good, and I gotta hand it to him. It's a solid, sharp, colorful looking photo, and does a fantastic job. Now, for probably what I think is the most fun part about current smartphone cameras is the night mode. The night mode is super fun to take pictures of, whether it's the S20 Plus, the iPhone, the Pixels. Night mode is so much fun to use. It's fun to play around with, see what different kind of photos you can get. And I'll show you some examples here. So this first picture is just standard, no night mode. As you can see, it's pretty dark, really not much light coming in. This will be 10 seconds, which is the longest you can take both of these by hand. So essentially, when you go to night mode, it goes to auto. On the S20 Plus, it would just go to 10 seconds in general right away. On the iPhone, it will go to 3 seconds. Sometimes that is all you need. But if you swipe longer, you can get to 10 seconds, and that's the longest you can do with your hand. This is where it really does not look good for the Samsung. Yes, these are both 10-second photos of night mode. You can see a massive difference. In the S20 Plus, you have like this purple, disgusting haze on it. You have some detail in like the wood, but it just looks bad. Like, there's nothing more I can say other than it just looks bad. The iPhone looks just crystal clear. It's such a good picture with that 10 seconds, and it does a fantastic job. I took these photos multiple times and got the same exact results with these 10-second in my hand. So really that 10 seconds with the Samsung, for whatever reason, it just can't process enough of that in coming in. Where Samsung did an amazing job though with the night mode, an iPhone, for whatever, I don't know if it wasn't stable enough. The 30-second photo, so the iPhone on a tripod can do 30 seconds. The S20 Plus would do 28 seconds. For whatever reason, they cut it 2 seconds short of 30. This picture looks absolutely amazing on the S20 Plus. It does such a good job. The detail and the flowers and everything, it looks like a little bit better version of what the iPhone did in the 10 seconds. And then we look at the iPhone's 30 seconds, and it just looks bad. Like, it's out of focus. It's hazy. It's just weird. I really don't know. I just propped these against like a little UE speaker we have, because we have a Joby smart stabilizer, and that would just, it kept focusing on other things and moving, so that's why I did this instead. And that S20 picture gives you such detail in the wood and the flowers. It does a fantastic job. Props to Samsung for this 28, like, it does amazing. I love the photo. So one thing I forgot to mention about the phones is the zoom. So iPhone can do 10 times digital. Honestly, doesn't really look good ever. And then on the S20 Plus, you can do 30 times digital. And as you can see here, the viewfinder is so difficult and hard to focus. Like, you can't focus really on anything. Your shot's never gonna look really clean. So I don't know why they added this. This is more just a fun play around thing, which you can get hilarious photos of people. For video, I just took a picture walking the pooch, and you can see on the S20, it's not as stable. Both, honestly, they're like 5 minutes apart. I took her out, walked back, and then did the same thing again, so that's why sun's different. And the S20 Plus, it's just not stabilized as much. They both look really good, really clean. They handle light well. I think the iPhone does a little bit better job with the light, but again, they're different scenarios, so you can't really judge that. Just the stabilization of the iPhone is a little bit nicer, but the S20 Plus definitely does a good job. Would I recommend this phone for its $1,200 price tag? Honestly, no. I would tell you to get the OnePlus 8 Pro almost every day of the week. Like I said, my friend had it. He asked me the exact question, S20 Plus, OnePlus 8 Pro. And I said OnePlus 8 Pro because it's just a better value. If you can get the S20 Plus for cheaper than $1,000 or around $1,000, fantastic price, great deal. It's a good phone for that price. I just think you're paying too much for the 5G, and 5G is not relevant enough to really add value, that much value to the phone. This phone I have on Sprint and I'll get low band and it's like 150 down or something like that. On my Verizon 4G I can get that, even Sprint 4G I can get that sometimes. So I just think you're overpaying a bit for this phone at the feature set it gives you. That 5G just really brings that cost up a little bit more than it really ever should, honestly. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit that like and subscribe button there for future content. I will have quite a bit of videos coming up here soon, hopefully, depending on the time I have. But anyways, thanks for watching. Stay safe. Have a good one. See you in the next one.